People love a good rivalry. Whether that rival is a childhood friend, your brother, a professional adversary, or just an evil clone. Two similar forces from opposite sides are exciting to see when they're done well. In games, some of the best rivals not only serve as a foil for the main character, but also as a catalyst for self-improvement and character development. But there's more to a rivalry than just pitting two characters against each other. What's the difference between designing an ordinary boss and designing a great rival? How do games make this type of character memorable and motivate us to beat them? I believe there are three key factors that make for a good rival character: the rival's premise, the conflict, and their persistence. First, the rival's premise. Who is your rival? How does their design contrast against your character? What drives your rival's story, and how does it tie into your own? Second, we have the conflict. Does the battle make sense? How does the game adapt to two similar ability sets? Does the fight stand out from other battles? Is the fight challenging? Is victory satisfying? Last, and most importantly, is the sense of persistence in the rival. The rival should serve as the player's motivation to challenge and surpass them. Do they actively stand in your way throughout the game? How do they progress on their quest while you work at your own? You can make a good boss fight with only one or two of these factors, but great rivalries tend to use all three. So let's take a look at how a couple of game series use these three factors to create some great rivalries. First up is a series famous for its rivals, Pokemon. Pokemon... oh yeah, I should probably put up one of these first. Pokemon's premise alone naturally allows for a rival character. A journey to become the very best like no one ever was is tailor-made for rivalries. Now, rival battles in Pokemon don't stand out mechanically from other fights. Gym leaders, trainers, and even random encounters use the same mechanics. The rival fight is just a little harder, and their party composition is a bit more thought through. The best quality of the rivals in Pokemon is their persistence, especially the series' first rival, Blue. Blue is one of the best rivals in the series not just because of nostalgia, but because he feels the most like a genuine rival. Blue made such a strong impression because, well, he's kind of a jerk. He's not really a villain, but he is the antagonist. A cocky kid who says "smell you later." He taunts you whenever you see him, and most importantly, he is very persistent, fighting you up to 8 times throughout the course of the game. Like here, in a hostage situation, or in a mausoleum. From the start of the game, the player's arc is clear: beat these gyms and become champion. But Blue is on that same arc as you, and he seems to always be just one step ahead, developing his team as you develop yours. You can beat him, but you need to keep up until a final battle for the title, a simple and perfect climax to the rivalry. The game's progression is the story of the rival's drive to match and surpass you, and for you to surpass them. Generation 1 nailed the rival battle, but even though the series is known for its great rivalries, the quality isn't always consistent through the generations. Look at the rivals of Gen 6. Technically there are 4, but they are just not very memorable. They are one-dimensional as characters, like even by Pokemon standards. This one is shy. This one likes to dance. This one is
implicit love interest.
And this one is a gender swap of your character, whose defining personality trait is existing. Their weak premise and presence makes Gen 6's rivalries fall apart. They're not so much rivals to help drive the player forward. They're more casual, friendly rivals, but that makes them about as memorable as the comfy shorts kid. Not much build-up and no climactic fight. You can do friendly rivals well. Just look at Wally in Gen 3, but you do need some character development for that to work. Earlier generations of Pokemon are better at making you want to take your rival down, where in something like Gen 6, you do it because the game just tells you to. Aside from Pokemon, character action games are famous for making fierce rivals that motivate you to challenge them. Jetstream Sam, Jean, Henry Cooldown, but these characters all bow down before the granddaddy of them all, Devil May Cry 3's Virgil. Rivals don't get much more rival-y than him. Virgil is, Oh, right. Hang on. Virgil is Dante's mirror image, similar yet contrasting. He is his twin after all. His hair, his color scheme, his body language, even his speech. For a character as lax and cocky as Dante, having someone as cold and precise as Virgil to challenge and keep him in check makes him the perfect foil. Virgil's presence in DMC3 is so big that the game is focused around that rivalry. Sure, there's also something about Arkham Asylum over here getting sorta Satan powers, but who cares about that because that guy is like you and you want to be better than him. At the start of the game, a gigantic tower emerges with Virgil at the top. Dante's and the player's initial goals are the same. Go, fight, Virgil. He is the catalyst to learn the game and to get better. He is your reward and your final test. You may not fight Virgil as often as you fight someone like Blue, but he stands as a bookend to the game's 3 acts and the game's most pivotal moments. These fights play out in a progression. Dante loses the first, reaches a stalemate in the second, and finally struggles to victory in the third and final match, driving home the sense of accomplishment over the course of the game. Mechanically, the fights with Virgil are interesting too. As a boss, Virgil makes you feel like you are fighting the protagonist of a parallel game. Virgil's moveset is not a simple copy of Dante's, but it's very comparable. He gets combos, phantom sword projectiles, his own version of Devil Trigger. He even gets a weapon from a boss you couldn't take down in the story. His versatile moveset requires you to be flexible with your own, making you pay close attention to the rhythm of the battle and adapt your fight strategy accordingly. Before this, your flexibility in combat was an incentive to style on enemies. Against Virgil though, you have to be flexible to survive. Adapt or die. If you just start the fight blasting away at him with your guns, he will quickly reflect your shots and teleport in close. The fight is a dance. Don't just rely on one move. Stay on your toes, adjust, and then once you find your rhythm, take your opponent out in style. This idea rings true throughout Devil May Cry's combat as a whole, but it's really brought home with each of the Virgil encounters that escalate as his moveset evolves with each battle. He's just about perfect as a rival, which cannot be said about his 2013 incarnation. In DMC Devil May Cry, the rivalry between Dante and Virgil still exists, but it feels very forced. It's a rivalry that shouldn't exist. Over DMC's campaign, Virgil isn't set up as a rival at all. Instead, he's a supporting ally to Dante during most of the story. He is the leader of a rebellion movement that seeks to take down the Demon King Mundus. Because Virgil is too weak to take on Mundus and his demons, he seeks out Dante to do it for him. Virgil is the brains, while Dante is the brawn. He's the intellectual with Hollywood hacking skills. His personality still contrasts against Dante's, but seems to be more in service of being part of a weird buddy duo between these two, and not really as a rivalry. You even have to save Virgil multiple times throughout the campaign. Now, it wouldn't be a problem to reimagine Virgil for a reboot, but the game's pivotal final battle is between the two of them. Virgil is not really a fighter, and the game does everything it can to say it. The only time he fights at all is at the very end against Mundus, where he just starts using his moveset from DMC3 at the last minute out of nowhere, something that would have come in handy earlier. Virgil doesn't even become an antagonist until the very end of the game. In this cutscene, in 5 seconds. Watch his eyes.
It's the beginning of the end for the demons. Mankind would be free.
And now.
Yes. Free from the demons. The path is clear for us to rule.
What did you just say?
The conflict and persistence factors are the issue here. While some of Virgil's actions were certainly hinting at a betrayal, they were few and far between, and ultimately felt separated from what actually sparks off this conflict. It's like a plot point that a sequel should have focused on. The game skips most of the necessary build-up to support this heel turn, and skips right to the big final fight. No explanation, no gradual development. He wasn't even trying to actively conceal his powers since his betrayal wasn't planned. Virgil becomes powerful because he just has to be. He is now the final boss, and this is a video game. The developer wants him to seem like a threat to the player, to make the player afraid and cautious of him, but the game doesn't do the work to make that believable. It's a rival battle that shouldn't have even happened, yet there it is. DMC's Virgil seems to be shackled by the expectations of the character from the earlier games. Since the rivalry defined their characters before, they must become rivals now, by any means necessary. The rivalry is unearned, making this Virgil awkward as a character and unsatisfying as a rival. Great rivals are highlights of any game series. They're more than a mirror image for the player character. The design needs to feel like a reward and a challenge, a battle between two sides of a coin. But most importantly, the best rivalries are built up slowly over time. Blue and Virgil do this well, but also rivals like Riku, Proto Man, Ocelot, Eric Sparrow, and dozens more. There are so many great rivals in games that they may seem easy to create, but there's no shortcut to a memorable rivalry.